I said, is that my beautiful Eric? But it is, and he's still beautiful, and he's smart, and he is tough, and he's handled it so well.
Make America great again.
All right, guys, what's going on? So Trump decided to visit North Carolina yesterday. He did one of his rallies down in Wilmington at the coast, and I suffered through a little bit of it just to show you some clips of what could only be described as an unmitigated disaster. I wanted to go through some of the highlights, or I guess you'd call it lowlights, of this rally. The first one is him bringing up another debate with Kamala Harris, and he's essentially saying he's going to not do the debate. So let's take a look real quick.
Kamala and her group have seen what's happening to their campaign, and it's not going well for them. And they would like, just announced a little while ago as I was coming off the plane, they would like to do another debate. I've already done two. One with crooked Joe Biden at CNN, and the other one with Kamala on ABC. CNN was very fair, I thought. The problem with another debate is that it's just too late. Voting has already started. She's losing badly. You know, it's like a fighter. She sees the polls. She sees what's happening. She's losing badly, but it's like a fighter who goes into the ring and gets knocked out. The first thing he says is, I want a rematch. I want a rematch. It's too late to do another. I'd love to in many ways, but it's too late.
So it's so funny. He's like, I already did two. I did one with Joe Biden, and then I did another one with Kamala Harris. Guys, remember, it used to be tradition that you would have at least 3 presidential debates. So he's saying he did one with the guy who's no longer running. He's citing that, like, well, the voting's already started, and it's too, we can't do it. In the last election with Joe Biden, they did a debate in October. And then he keeps bringing up this line. It's so funny. The line about, like, when you're a fighter and you lose a fight, you automatically want to get another fight because they want a rematch. Go back just a couple of months and let's see what Trump did immediately after he wiped the floor with Joe Biden. Or really, I should say Joe Biden wiped the floor with himself because he just shit the bed hard. He couldn't speak, you know. Trump was immediately out there saying, hey, I want to do another debate. I'll do it anytime. I'll do it So it's like he's doing this line about, like, of course she wants another one because I beat her so badly. It's like, yeah, sure. Then he gets into, like, energy. This part is even dumber. Let's just take a look here real quick, and I'll let you decide how realistic this is.
We will cut your energy prices in half within, mark it down, and you can get very angry at me if we don't do it. Within 12 months, your energy prices will be cut in half. We have more liquid gold under our feet than anybody else. And we will rapidly defeat inflation. So inflation is a misnomer because the inflation's now getting stabilized because our country is doing badly. And by slashing inflation, we will cut interest rates and reduce the monthly cost of your typical mortgage by $1,000. $1,000 a month. Listen, so interest rates with me were at 2%.
Okay, so this is a hell of a promise to make. He's going to cut the energy prices in half. Now, energy can mean a lot of things, right? It can mean, like, how much you pay for energy at your house. It can mean gas prices. It can mean, you know, like natural gas prices, right? So he's saying, I'm going to cut the energy in half in 12 months. If you believe that, I've got a very, very large bridge to sell you, okay? If it's, what is it, like in North Carolina, it's like 320? I don't know. Okay, I just looked it up. My wife's car's gas, mine's electric, but at Costco, which is usually one of the cheapest places that you can get gas, it is $2.94 at Costco right now in North Carolina. So, if you think that you're suddenly going to go back to $1.50 for gas under Trump, you are a fucking moron. If your energy bill is $200 a month right now, like your electricity bill is $200 a month, and you think it's going back to $100, I've got a very, very large bridge to sell you. And then he goes on about, like, the inflation is stabilized now, but that's because the economy is bad. I was like, make it make sense. You know, like he's so desperate to make it seem like it's really, really bad right now. But it's like, yeah, interest rates are starting to come down. Inflation has stabilized and it's been there for a long time. Prices stayed higher post-pandemic. But that, like, they've already done an autopsy on what happened. Like 60% of the inflation is what's known as greedflation. It's basically corporations were like, oh, great, we have a massive global problem. We're just going to hike the prices on things even though it doesn't actually affect us. Like the supply chain issues doesn't actually affect us. Because if anybody invests in stock, you know that like you can't say that inflation's at an all-time high and then also post record profits. Like two things can't be true at the same time. It's either you're raising the price because you have to account for an increase in your overall cost as a company. You can't say like inflation's at an all-time high, which is why we're spiking the prices up, but also post record profits. And then, and this one was so funny too. He said he's going to cut the mortgage rates by an average of $1,000 a month. Really, dude? You're going to cut mortgage rates by $1,000 a month? I mean, look, I'm all for it, man. That would bring my payment down to $500 on this house. So, dude, go for it. But like, they're not going to suddenly go from, 6% interest rate on a mortgage all the way down to 2% again in 12 months. It's not going to happen. It's just not. This next one, oh my God, this is so funny. He's going to talk about Kamala Harris and being all for defund the police.
Anybody that once even had a thought of defunding our great police law enforcement can no longer serve or even be thought of to be president. And I met a lot of the officers backstage. Are incredible, the job they do, and we appreciate it. She wants to defund the police. She wanted to do it in Minneapolis. That's why she picked this character, this weird guy. He said weird. JD and I are not weird. We got a lot of problems, but we're not weird.
Yeah, I mean, the joke on the left is we call her Kamala the cop, like the actual left, not the Democrats. But like, she was AG of California. She cracked down on nonviolent drug offenders, So like the idea that she's for defunding the police is absolutely ludicrous. And then I gotta love that little part at the end there is like, this guy Tim Waltz is super weird. Me and JD Vance definitely aren't weird. The guys who are like screeching at the top of our lungs on national TV that like Haitian migrants are eating people's pets. We're not weird. Oh shit. And then this last one I'll show you is on Trump's literally his weakest issue for this election and Republicans' weakest issue in general, which is abortion. Let's take a look real fast.
Women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. You will no longer be thinking about abortion because it is now where it always had to be, with the states and with the vote of the people, but not allowing for Democrat-demanded late-term abortion in the 7th, 8th, and 9th month, or even execution of a baby after birth, which is what they want. I asked her about it during debate, and she didn't want to answer it. I said, are you willing to have an abortion on a woman in the 9th month? And she didn't want to answer. The answer is yes. And think of it, even after birth. It's called execution.
Right, yes, everybody, it's just the way everybody wanted it. Everybody wanted it to go back to the states. No, you idiot. Roe versus Wade was essentially like 2/3 of Americans supported it. The third that didn't were the hyper-Christian nationalist people that are the ones that are the main driver of your campaign. When Trump appointed the 3 justices with the explicit intent of them overturning Roe versus Wade, which is why the Heritage Foundation suggested all 3 of those people to Trump as people that were, approved by the Federalist Society and all this shit, the goal was to overturn Roe v. Wade, which they did. And it's been a massive electoral disaster for Republicans ever since. So, like, you get all these stories about, like, some 12-year-old who was forced to carry a child or was forced to, like, travel between states to go and get an abortion because they were in a state where it wasn't actually legal. I'm forgetting her name, but she took an abortion pill and she had this rare complication where like the tissues from the fetus that was developing weren't taken out all the way, and then she started like developing a massive infection, and she was in a huge amount of pain, and she was in a state where they weren't allowed to do anything for her until it was an absolute emergency, and then she ended up dying from the complications of what would have been routine, like, let's just, clear the infection kind of deal. This is the kind of country that Roe versus Wade going back to the states looks like. And you wouldn't do this with anything else. Like, think about how ridiculous this is. What if we just decided we leave everything up to the states? So that, like, murder in one state is okay, but in this state it's not. Like, there has to be some continuity between all of the states so that you don't have these kind of things happening. And let's be super, super, super clear on what is and is not happening. Nobody is getting an abortion in the 9th month because they just feel like it. Okay? The only time that would happen would be in some very, 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 very rare instance where, like, the life of the mother is threatened. Trump makes it seem like Democrats are doing it all the time. This whole thing about executing a baby after birth, completely made up. It's completely made up. He cannot cite one time where that's happened. And let's also make super clear that 90% of abortions happen in the first trimester. Like, almost all abortions happen in the first trimester. And I can't remember how many, but like what would be considered late term abortion is like less than 1%. So they make it out like this, it's this huge issue that's happening all the time, and people are just getting killed all the time in the 9th month and after. It's total bullshit. Total bullshit. Doesn't happen. Not true. So like I said, that was, super embarrassing. We're going to probably see him come back to North Carolina at least a couple more times because there's a lot of chatter about North Carolina this time around. And it's basically like, if Trump loses North Carolina, donezo. Definitely done. And he's not going to win the election if he loses North Carolina. I have said my piece about this state in particular. I just don't see how the governor's race can be almost double digits apart with Mark Robinson being down that far to Josh Stein. And let's be super clear. Mark Robinson is a Trump-approved candidate. He's got his endorsement. He's very similar to Trump. I don't see how the GOP can lose the governor's race and then squeak out a victory for the presidential race. I just don't know. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and like and subscribe. It helps me grow the channel. Like I said, I'm trying to get to 500 before the election. I think I can do it. Just need a little bit of help. And share the video out if you like this kind of content and you got a friend that might like it as well. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.